welcome to Monaco, where the weather, this important element, to put it mildly, is absolutely superlatively good. Bright sunshine, dry roads, ideal conditions. And there you see the two names of Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna going through on the grid. Nigel Mansell in pole position for the third time in the 4 races this year, and he went round incredibly quickly yesterday, just a bit faster than Ayrton Senna, although the tables were turned this morning in the warm-up because Senna was faster than Mansell, indeed nearly a second faster, and it looks as though the active ride suspension of the Lotus has now been well and truly tuned to this circuit. Well, James and I seem to have caused a bit of controversy at the Belgian Grand Prix last weekend before last, when we were talking about Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna going off, and I think you want to say a few words about that, James.
Well, I don't really want to, because I really have to apologise to Ayrton Senna, to his fans, and to the experts who saw the race and very kindly wrote in, pointing out that I was, in fact, entirely wrong about the incident. I blamed Senna for the accident, and that was unfair, because Mansell was making a pretty ill-considered manoeuvre round the outside of him, and Senna had nowhere to go.
Well, let us fervently hope that there is no incident in this race, because it's all too frequent that one occurs. You see, this being a street circuit, all the corners are natural road corners, and the most important one of them all is the first corner on the first lap, which is Saint-Devote, which is a right-hander which leads into the hill, which goes up and past the Hotel de Paris into Casino Square. And all too often in the past, when the drivers have fed in some 850 horsepower, there has been a coming together at that first corner. And as you see, on the left there is Nigel Mansell, on the right is Ayrton Senna. When they leave now, it will be for the parade lap, and I emphasise it is not the start of the race. But whoever gets into that first corner first, as Mansell leads away, followed by Senna, Piquet, Prost, then the Ferrari, and Eddie Cheever in a fine and 6th position is going to be in a very commanding position to control the race. One of the problems here at Monaco is that it is extremely difficult, if not virtually impossible, to pass.
Yes, I think that's fair. It's almost impossible. If the driver in front of you does not make a mistake, he can drive really quite slowly, and there's nothing that a following car can do to get past. So the qualifying and the grid positions become ultra important here, much more important than at most Grand Prix. So we go through the Casino Square, down to the Mirabeau in second gear. First gear for some drivers early in the race when they got full tanks and a heavy load of fuel. The Lowe's hairpin, which is one of the places that there is a chance to gain some ground early in the race, because you've got a terrible traffic jam there, and driving around the outside, you can quite often make up 4 or 5 places as everybody sits in the traffic jam.
Through the famous tunnel underneath Lowe's hairpin, they come out of that in race trim at, believe it or not, some 170 miles an hour. This is the new chicane, which was used for the first time last year, which leads on to the swimming pool by way of the Old Tabac. There is the swimming pool just to the left of your screen. This marvellously evocative scene with the multi-millionaires' yachts floating on the water, the hotels and lovely houses of Monaco in the background. They go round the left, right, and that is where Berger crashed the Ferrari in the first day of practice this year. Then into a right, left, then down to La Rascasse, which is one of the 2 first-gear corners, only about 30 miles an hour on this circuit, and that is the one that they are going. There's Piquet, there's Alain Prost, Michele Alboreto, Eddie Cheever 6th on the grid, Stefan Johansson, Gerhard Berger with the yellow flashes. That is Thierry Boutsen in the Benetton. The Brabhams have had all sorts of trouble here. There's Derek Warwick, and that is Teo Fabi, followed by Nannini and Martin Brundle, who went extremely well in the warm-up. There's Jonathan Palmer, very quick in the 3.5-litre Tyrrell. Nakajima, Alio. There's De Cesaris. That is René Arnoux, followed by Philippe Streff. And Philippe Streff, followed by Fabre, is the last but one man on the grid. Only 24 on the grid. Christian Danner non-starting and Campos non-starting. This is the crucial time of the Monaco Grand Prix. The first corner. Watch the lights in the top left corner of your screen. And then less than 7 seconds later, the green will go. The Monaco Grand Prix for 78 laps will be on. And Mansell takes the lead, followed by Senna, Piquet, Prost and Alboreto. And Mansell and Senna and Piquet and the Ferrari and then Prost are through Sandoval safely. Thank heaven for that. It looks as though the rest of them are too. And that is a blessing, because all too often in the past, as I said, no, that is Philippe Alliot who has spun, the man who was so quick, and Nakajima is in trouble, but it is Mansell as he goes out of Casino Square, down to Lowe's hairpin. Nigel Mansell, who has dominated practice, and that is Nakajima, the Japanese driver in the Lotus, with the camera on his car. And so often we have problems with the camera, but there is Mansell leading on lap 1 into the tunnel, followed by Ayrton Senna. This is up into 6th gear here. Then they come into the sunlight, down to the chicane for the first time. And Mansell is doing as he did in Belgium, building up a handy lead with Piquet 3rd, Alboreto is 4th, Prost has gone down to 5th, Eddie Cheever is still 6th, Johansson is in 7th place. And Nigel Mansell in the very powerful Williams Honda with its fuel-efficient engine leads round the swimming pool.
And Alboreto is really charging. He's already passed Prost, who's having a look for a way around Piquet. Tremendous start by Mansell.
Mansell through to complete a lap. Then Senna, Piquet, Alboreto 4th, Prost 5th, Cheever 6th, Johansson 7th, and Boutsen going extremely well in 8th position. Round the right-hander at Sandoval, up the hill. And Mansell, who is seemingly in a class of his own these days, look at the lead he's built up on the 2nd lap. He seems to be anxious to prove that he is the man, and who can blame him? I say, remember that Mansell was the man who has put up 3 pole positions this year already. He's been on the front row of the grid every race this year. 7 pole positions in his career, into the tunnel for the 2nd time. Fuel is not so much of a problem at Monaco as it is at many of the Grand Prix this year, because it's a comparatively short race in terms of distance, about 160 miles, although it can run the full 2 hours. 2 laps. Coming up, round the left-hander, out of the chicane, down towards the swimming pool again, and you can see for yourselves now the gap. That's Ayrton Senna in the active ride suspension Lotus Honda. And he goes down towards La Rasca, back into 1st gear, and in the pits already René Arnoux, and out of them in the grossly overweight Ligier. They're working on that before Detroit for the French Grand Prix. But Mansell goes through into Saint-Devant now. 2 laps completed. The Englishman starting to build up a handy lead, which in terms of time is now 2.6 seconds. Piquet, Alboreto, well within sight of the Brazilian's Williams Honda. This is Casino Square. The famous Café de Paris on the right, which is being pulled down. You can see the hoardings on the left of your picture. There's Piquet with Alboreto closing and pulling away a bit from Alain Prost. And I suspect that already Alain Prost, that you see coming down to Lowe's hairpin now, is doing his usual watching brief, although he's got Eddie Cheever right behind him.
Yes, it's a very long race. There is no point in rushing in the early stages. Nigel Mansell really building up a very good lead.
And Nelson Piquet, I notice, is starting to close a bit on Ayrton Senna. The gap between Mansell and Senna now is still 2.6 seconds. There is Alain Prost. And Eddie Cheever is swarming over Alain Prost's gearbox now, metaphorically speaking, with Gerhard Berger right behind him. And the two Ferraris have had a lot of work done on them. They have a new suspension set up here. They have a new under tray to help the aerodynamics. And they're going well, despite the fact that Berger had a big crash in practice. So there is Prost through, Cheever through, and Alain Prost goes up the hill, and the race order now on this, the fourth lap. Nigel Mansell leading, Ayrton Senna in second position, Nelson Piquet is third, Michele Alboreto is fourth, Prost there is fifth, Eddie Cheever is in sixth place, in seventh position is Berger, and Boutsen-Weller. Those headers. And I remind you that in the Monaco Grand Prix, the thing to do above everything else is to keep your car in one piece. The sparks are being struck there because the cars have a pretty heavy fuel load on at the moment. The titanium skid plates underneath the car are hitting that bump through the tunnel and also into Casino Square, where there are deep grooves in the road, I noticed last night when I was walking around the circuit. And here is Prost, Cheever, Berger, and ahead of them Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet in third position, Michele Alboreto in fourth, and there is Prost fifth, the man who's won for the past 3 years, and the man who has been condemnatory, to say the least of it, number one, Alain Prost, about the fact that originally 26 people were going to be allowed to start here at Monaco. That's Piquet, there's Alboreto, here is Prost, and they go up the hill there at some 165 miles an hour. Round the Hotel de Paris corner, that's the gap. Now Mansell has really pulled out the lead. Nearly 3 seconds as he rounds Lowe's hairpin, goes down towards the Portier. This is the Portier, underneath the elevated roadway, through the tunnel. Those are very bright arc lamps that they have there to give the drivers some view as they go through, and then they burst into the sunlight, down to the chicane again. Left, right, very much slower than it used to be. And the lap record here is held by Michele Alboreto from 1985 at a speed of 89.6 miles an hour. Mansell's the fastest so far, 131.2. So he's well below the lap record, but he's obviously got no need to hurry the way he's going at the present moment. So, Mansell leading. And then it's Senna, Piquet, Alboreto, Prost. Derek Warwick is in 9th position. Jonathan Palmer, an excellent 15th in the 3.5-litre Tyrrell. Martin Brundle in the Zach Speed is in 17th position. And here's the race leader. Now, at this early stage of the race, it is beginning to look as though Nigel Mansell's main problem will be to keep going reliably, watch his boost. He will be able to turn it down a bit, even in the early stage of the race, to make the engine as fuel efficient as possible. And he's already coming within sight of somebody that he's going to lap as he goes down towards the Portier. There is Senna. You just saw Piquet behind him. So the two Williams Honda cars are first and third, and Honda engine leading cars are first, second and third, because Senna has got the same type of V6 turbo engine as the two Williams cars. Mansell.
Mansell looks very, very assured at the moment. He's quite clearly driving well within himself, trying to build up a lead without particularly pushing it, without trying to get away. He knows it's a very long race. 2 hours, there's no room for mistakes in Monte Carlo. One wheel off and it's all over.
Mansell coming through to complete his 6th lap out of 78. And Boutsen out already. Oh dear, Thierry Boutsen out of the Monaco Grand Prix on lap 7 in the Benetton. I don't know what the trouble is. They've had a lot of problems in practice with the lag of the turbo in their Ford engine, and they're having a new design, new type of engine in the Detroit Grand Prix, which they hope will overcome their problems, but bitter luck for Boutsen, particularly as he went so well in the warm-up today, third party. Now Mansell is closing up on, it looks to me like Ghinzani, it is Ghinzani in the Ligier. Is the Italian going to let Nigel through, or will this give Ayrton Senna? Yes, he is. No problem there. And Mansell thanks him by covering him with a shower of sparks as he goes through the tunnel, and he is now on lap 7, which is getting up towards 1/10 of race distance, looking as though he has absolutely no trouble at all. 1 minute 29.06 compares with Michele Alboreto's lap record of 1 minute 22.8. And now Senna closes up on Ghinzani to lap him. Race order, lap 7. Mansell leading, Senna second. Piquet, who does not like it here at Monaco, the circuit I mean, although he lives here, is in third position. Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari is still in fourth place, ahead of Alain Prost with his usual watching brief. In fifth position, Alain relying on people in front of him striking some sort of trouble. And in sixth place, it's still Eddie Cheever. There's Mansell. And you can see that Mansell, who improves almost race by race, has now got a commanding lead. 5 seconds is an excellent cushion. And it's interesting to see that Stefan Johansson, the teammate of world champion Alain Prost, is down in 12th position, having a scrap with, of all people, Alex Cappy in the Osella. I say of all people because Alex Cappy, who is proving to be an excellent driver, has really got a problem in motoring the now old-fashioned V8 engined Alfa-powered car around this circuit. It's very tricky indeed. And here's Mansell. Lap 9. Look at the crowd in the background. They are appreciating a superlatively good Grand Prix demonstration by 32-year-old Nigel Mansell from Port Erin. This is his 94th Grand Prix. Having driven for Lotus for 4 years, there is the Lotus of Ayrton Senna, the cool Brazilian. And there's some adjustments made to the active ride suspension by Peter Wright and his colleagues after practice yesterday, which certainly resulted in a very significant improvement in the performance of this Ayrton Senna number 12 Lotus Honda, because, as I said earlier on, he was nearly a second faster than Mansell in the warm-up. Not that that seems to have mattered in the least to Mansell, who's fairly pulling away from him now. And we are on lap 9. Senna, that you're looking at, rounding Lowe's hairpin, created a sensation in 1984 in the Tolman when he finished second and actually passed the winner, Prost, on the line as the race was stopped short of its full distance because of the weather. And he's done nothing but go forward since. Ayrton Senna into and out of the tunnel. Mansell leads. Senna second. Piquet third. Alboreto fourth. Prost still fifth. Cheever still sixth. And this is lap 9.
And a little bit of a queue is developing behind Michele Alboreto. It's going to be very hard work for them to find a way around it. Now you see Alboreto just coming to the swimming pool complex, Prost behind him. Cheever's tremendous performance in the Arrows. They've got their car together this year, got a really good car. Berger. Ferrari had a lot of trouble in practice apart from the damage to both cars on Thursday. Prost is starting to look for a way around Alboreto now.
Alboreto, who is in fourth place in the Ferrari, and this is where he had his accident with Dana, and as James says, Prost is easing away from Cheever, who is in sixth position, closing up on the rear wing of the Ferrari of Michele Alboreto. That's Cheever in the Arrows Megatron, and Arrows are in sixth position in the world in the Constructors' Championship. Now you can see the pressure. Johansson is in trouble. Stefan Johansson, who was in 12th position, has lost 4 places. It looks as though one of the McLarens, that of Stefan Johansson, is dropping back. But meantime, Alain Prost, and you see him now coming out of the tunnel. That's Cheever, who is 6th. There's Prost, 5th. Ahead of him, Alboreto, 4th. Mansell out on his own, chased by Senna, who is now nearly 6 seconds behind the leader. Nelson Piquet is some 11 seconds behind, and there is Philippe Strepp's car out of the race, one of the 2 Tyrrells. So Thierry Boutsen is out, Philippe Strepp is out on lap 10 in this 78 lap race, and you can see that the right front wheel is missing.
Yes, and Strepp looks as if he's trapped in the car. Looks like he's had quite a heavy accident.
This, regrettably, is Philippe Strepp's 2nd accident in 2 Grand Prix. And Massenet, for those of you who don't know the circuit, is the very fast left-hander round the Hotel de Paris, leading into Casino Square at the end of the hill. And this is awful for the marshals, because they have the problem not only of getting poor Philippe Strepp out of the car, but of making sure they don't stray into the road too much, because that's where the cars are going past them, and mighty quick. Indeed, it's about a 100-mile-an-hour bend. There is Martin Brundle going round. The steering wheel off, and we rejoin the race. This is lap 11, with Mansell now 7 seconds ahead.
Brussels is starting to get a little bit anxious now about getting past Alboreto. We've already said it's no easy matter overtaking here, but the leaders are getting away. Mansell, Senna and Piquet are starting to build up a gap, and Prost has got to make the move soon.
Indeed he has, because the gap between Prost and Alboreto, which is vestigial, is 4 seconds between them and Piquet, who is in 3rd position, and then Piquet is some 13 seconds behind the 2nd place man, Senna. There they go up the hill, past the stricken Strepp's car. Now down the hill, past the rebuilt but not yet reopened Hotel Metropole into Mirabeau Corner. That is where Patrick Tambay had his colossal accident with Martin Brundle last year. And indeed, Michele Alboreto in 4th place in the Ferrari. Better but not good enough. There, the yellow flags are waving as Nannini goes through in the only Minardi in the race, and he is in 12th position. And I'm beginning to wonder if they are going to be able to keep the race going.
Yes, I feel with so much work now, as a matter of safety, they really should stop the race. Give the marshals a chance to work on the car properly.
Well, Strepp out of the car, that's a blessing anyway. And I noticed the crane, which is strategically placed there, is all ready to haul the Tyrrell away. And Strepp, who is inclined to get uptight before a race, will now, in following races, particularly with the pressure from his English teammate Jonathan Palmer on him, be a worried man in future, I fear. You can see the rope there dangling from Saint-Devote. That's for the same reason as the crane at the corner that they're at now. And they are Alboreto. There he is, number 27, the Italian, who has 5 Grand Prix victories behind him. And Alboreto and Prost, who are 4th and 5th, are easing away a bit as they come down to Lowe's. From Eddie Cheever, 6th, there he is. Berger, 7th in the red Ferrari. In 8th position, Derek Warwick. So both the arrows are going extremely well. Mansell leading. Warwick in the arrows is in 8th place. Jonathan Palmer is 13th and leading the 3.5 litre class. And Martin Brundle is 16th in the Zaxby. And we are on lap 13. There's Fabre. about to be lapped by the battle for fourth between Alboreto. Now, is Fabry going to get in the way? He's been warned. He isn't. He's warned in Belgium for not using his mirrors, and he's shot sideways as though he was attached to the armco by a rubber band.
Yes, that's right. He did exactly the right thing, got well out of the way as he was being lapped, but that will be a little bit of a disappointment to Prost, because the chance of being held up by a back mask gives him a little opportunity. Now, Prost is really beginning to look for a way around Alboreto. I suspect if he's going to make a move, he'll make it down to the Mirabeau corner as they come up to Casino Square. Remember, an overtaking manoeuvre here requires quite a lot of planning. He's not close enough this time.
While you watch that, let me tell you that most of the cars in the race, with the exception of the 3.5-litre ones, and possibly Eddie Cheever in the Arrows, and you see him coming down towards Lowe's now, will have to make a tyre change. They will have to come into the over-congested pit lane here at Monaco. In practice this morning, the practice tyre changes, some of them were doing it in just a whisker over 5 seconds. Quite incredible. They won't be as quick as that during the race, but it could change the order. Nigel Mansell, however, is now 7.5 seconds ahead of Ayrton Senna. He is on lap 14. Piquet is in third position, 13 seconds behind Senna. You watch the battle for fourth and fifth between Alboreto and Prost, with Alboreto holding it. And the Ferraris are certainly making a small amount of progress race by race. They weren't helped here at Monaco when Alboreto had his practice crash with Dana and Berger drove into the Armco of the swimming pool, and both cars were virtually destroyed. Alboreto's was, and they had to bring the spare car from the Paul Ricard circuit, and now Prost is right up with fourth place man Alboreto. He won't get through there. Up the hill. Now that is Nakajima in front of them. Satoru Nakajima, the Japanese driver, 1 lap behind already in 19th place. This is his first drive at Monaco, and what a place to learn to control 850 horsepower.
Once again, he'll be hoping that Nakajima doesn't get out of the way, and it isn't helpful. It could just give him the little opening he needs. Prost all over the back of the Ferrari gearbox. Just how difficult it is to find an opening here.
Will he find it as they come out of the tunnel and down to the chicane? I very much doubt it. Nakajima, I remind you, he's been lapped. He's way down, 19th position. Alboreto trying to go through as they come up to the Tabac turn. This is Nakajima. You are riding with Satoru Nakajima in the Lotus Honda now. Behind him, and he waves his hand to the right to say, pass me to the right, and Alboreto and Prost need no second invitation. Zap, they are through, and that has given Prost his opportunity. Now he might just get through as they come up to Saint-Devote. This is one of the few places they can get through, and Alboreto knows that, of course. He's a master of passing there himself, and he holds the Frenchman off, and as they go up the hill on lap 16 out of 78, there's Eddie Cheever. That's Alboreto fourth, Prost fifth, Mansell leads, Senna second, Piquet third, Cheever is in sixth position.
And Prost's problem is that he seems to lose a little bit of ground through Saint-Devote and going up the hill, so he's not quite close enough through Casino Square to get a shot at Alboreto down to the Mirabeau.
These two, of course, are old adversaries here at Monaco. In the damp conditions of 1985, they were at it hammer and tongs as they are now, and in the end, Alain Prost wore the Italian down and got through. Prost flips the curve there, and look at Eddie Cheever. Eddie Cheever in the background, and Berger, they're 6th and 7th, are catching Alboreto in 4th position and Prost in 5th place. There's Alboreto 4th, Prost 5th, Cheever 6th, and Berger 7th, up to La Rascasse.
Yes, and meanwhile, the leaders, Mansell and Senna, getting further and further away. Frustration time for Alain Prost. Mansell is some 10 seconds in front of Senna, who's some 8 seconds in front of Piquet.
And Nigel Mansell, of whom we have not seen very much, was fastest in 3 of the 5 practice sessions, including this morning's practice session, that is, making up 5. Senna was fastest this morning, and Mansell was fastest in 3 of the 4 others. He has dominated practice here, as he dominated it in Belgium, and the positions of the British drivers at the present moment are that, of course, Nigel Mansell is in the lead. Derek Warwick is in 8th position in the Arrows. Jonathan Palmer is up into 13th because he has passed Stefan Johansson's McLaren, and Martin Brundle is 16th in the Zach Speed. Through the tunnel, down to the chicane. That is a first gear turn, the left-hander. Out of it in 3rd gear. Prost is not really making up any time and distance on Alboreto, but if anything, Cheever is starting to get... Now, the figures at the bottom there, 16 tours, number 5, Mansell leads, number 12, Senna second, number 6, Piquet third, number 27, Alboreto fourth, and number 1, there he is, Alain Prost in 5th place. Lap 18. 60 laps to go, including the one they're on. A lot can still happen, and probably will. Saint-Devant. Meantime, Nigel Mansell has now increased his lead over Ayrton Senna. The Williams leads the Lotus by 10 clear seconds. With Piquet 19 seconds behind Senna. Then with Alboreto, Prost, Cheever and Berger virtually together, you look across the harbour. See the big towering red crane ready to pluck a car away from the chicane if it goes off there. And this is the leader, Nigel Mansell.
Mansell really looks very smooth indeed. He's always liked street circuits, always done well at Monte Carlo, and he really looks very happy in his work. He's steadily building up the lead. He's not appearing to have to push. His biggest concern at the moment will be the timing of his power stops.
Mansell, of course, who won at San Marino, lost to Prost in Brazil and Belgium, led the World Championship for a while and is now down in 3rd place, 8 points behind Alain Prost, who at the moment is 5th here at Monaco. And the race order now on lap 19, as you watch Mansell go into the tunnel in the lead, is Mansell leading, Senna second, Piquet third, the 2 Williams Hondas then 1st and 3rd. Michele Alboreto in 4th position, still holding off Alain Prost 5th. Cheever 6th, right behind Prost, and Berger 7th, right behind Cheever. Derek Warwick is in 8th position, but Tracy is 9th. Barbie is 10th, Alec Caffey is in a superb 11th place, and 12th is Alessandro Nannini, the Italian who has just won the revived Mia Emilia race in Italy. Stefan Johansson has got back past Jonathan Palmer, 13th Johansson, 14th Palmer. Brundle is languishing in 16th place. And out of the race have gone Thierry Boutsen and Philippe Streff. Boutsen perfectly okay, and as far as we know, Streff is, as Mansell completes another lap. And again, Johansson has started slipping back. I don't know what his problem is, and I can only guess. I know he was running in a new gearbox this morning, but the erratic travel of the McLaren is a bit of a puzzle at the present moment. There's nothing erratic about Nigel Mansell. He is very much in a winning groove. Notice the way he's keeping away from the curves. That's an indication of the fact that he's driving well within his personal limits as he goes into the tunnel again on his 20th lap, leading now by nearly 11 seconds. He won this is just about a quarter distance, he won in San Marino, he was 6th in Brazil, he didn't finish in Belgium, of course. If he gets 9 points in this race, although there is still a long, long way to go, it will give him 19, and that's the man in second. I have just been given a message, we didn't see it, nor did you. Stefan Johansson's problem was that he spun at the Portier, which is the right-hander before the tunnel. There's Arnoux, and that's obviously why he lost his time. Arnoux in the Ligier, grossly overweight. There's a new car being built now. Michel Alboreto, the French designer, has disappeared from Monaco and is not going to be seen again until the French Grand Prix, when he reappears with a new Ligier for his 2 drivers, Arnoux and Ghinzani, to drive. Furious blue flags, and Arnoux runs wide, lets Mansell through. And that's Johansson in the red-white McLaren that Nigel Mansell is about to lap, and Johansson is in second place in the World Championship. So there's a bit of irony. Into the tunnel, 160 miles an hour now, building up speed, and comes out of it at 175 now. Brakes hard, from 6th gear down to 1st. There's Philippe Fabre. He's already been lapped. He's in 19th position. He's about to be lapped a second time, and has been. The comparatively inexperienced Frenchman in the French-built AGS. Mansell now up to Ghinzani, who is 20th, who moves over up to the Rascasse. Mansell goes through his majestic progress, the way to describe it, and comes through to complete lap 21 shortly, closing up on Stefan Johansson, who is 17th. Race order, lap 22, Mansell leads, Senna second, Piquet third, Alboreto fourth, Prost fifth, Shiva sixth, Berger seventh, Warwick eighth, round Massenet, into Casino Square, down towards the Mirabeau corner. Stefan Johansson in the McLaren with its tag engine sees the Williams Honda of Nigel Mansell, the leader, large in his mirrors, moves over and lets him through.
Yes, what will be interesting will be to see just how well Johansson can keep up with Mansell. That is a pointer to Prost's form, who of course is still struggling along behind Alboreto. They're dropping ground a lot. Mansell's keeping his lead around about 10 seconds. He certainly looks very comfortable. He's not using all the road, as you see. He's driving well within himself. There's that Senna, and Senna, of course. Now you see, just bounces off the curb a little bit, and again, Senna is obviously giving it 110%, trying to keep in touch.
And Mansell now, with the vortices coming visibly off his rear wing, is closing up on Andrea de Cesaris. There he is, number 8 in the Brabham BMW. De Cesaris is in 16th place. Mansell has already lapped Johansson, Nakajima, Ghinzani, who's 2 laps behind him in 19th place, and Fabre, who is 2 laps behind him in 20th position. And he's coming up to take Andrea de Cesaris. The Brabhams haven't been going nearly as well here in Monaco as they went in Belgium and San Marino. And this morning in the warm-up, they were afflicted by some peculiar electronic problem, as a result of which they could only get 3-bar boost, which means to say that they were a lot of horsepower short, and my goodness, it showed in the times. Nannini, by the way, who I mentioned earlier on as going extremely well, is no longer going at all. He has stopped at Casino in 12th position, having broken 3 drive shafts this morning in 2 separate cars in the half-hour warm-up. And that means to say that Jonathan Palmer in the Tyrrell 3.5-litre car, and he's leading that class comfortably. from Philippe Alliot, who was a lot faster than him in practice this morning and is not showing on our lap charts at the moment, Alliot. Now, Mansell is right with Andrea de Cesaris' Brabham, which is now 15th. Mansell goes through, and of course that's where you need 100% cooperation from the driver that you are catching and passing, because as James has said, there is a very narrow line here, and if you don't get cooperation, you don't get past.
That's absolutely right. And in fact, the drivers that have been lapped so far have been extremely cooperative and looking in their mirrors. So Mansell on his way, but Senna is starting to catch him. We had a look at Senna about a lap ago. We could see that he was driving very much on the limit, bouncing it off the curbs, and his efforts look to be starting to pay off.
Those figures on the right, incidentally, show that Senna is 8 seconds behind Mansell, and Piquet is 18 seconds behind Senna, and Alboreto is 28 seconds behind Piquet, but is only just in front of Alain Prost, who is mounting another attack on the Ferrari as you watch Nigel Mansell coming through to complete his 24th lap out of 78, clear of the Armco, round La Rascasse, the restaurant. And now up to complete the lap and into Saint-Savant. That's 24 laps completed. And it's 1/3 race distance. Now, this is the 4th place battle behind Mansell, Senna and Piquet. And as you see, Prost is mounting another attack. He's taking a deep breath and he's having a go at the Ferrari.
Yes, same old problem. Over 20 laps now, he's been stuck behind Alboreto. Alboreto, very much aware of that. His tactics will be
through which he can converse with the pits, and interestingly in Belgium needed to, because his electronic fuel counter went down. But in the lead, he very coolly called the pits and asked them to find out how the fuel consumption of Stefan Johansson's McLaren was going. He was second behind Prost and going at about the same speed. They checked with Johansson and then told Prost everything's all right, and Prost motored on and won the race. So there is cooperation and advanced technology for you. Round the right-hander and La Rascasse in 4th position, the V6 Scarlet Ferrari, and there are thousands and thousands of Ferrari supporters here at Monaco, just very close to the Italian border. Raise a cheer every time Alboreto goes past, particularly when he hasn't been caught by Prost, whom they don't like one little bit. Eddie Cheever, you see coming up in the background, is very close indeed. He's only 2 seconds behind Prost there. So down to the Mirabeau. Alboreto, Prost, Cheever and Berger.
Yes, Berger's starting to put the pressure on Cheever, but once again he's faced with this problem that there really is nowhere to overtake. Unless you can harass the driver in front of you into a mistake, the other problem, of course, that Prost has is that when you're following another car very closely, it's much more physically demanding, it's more mentally demanding, there's much more pressure and concentration required, and you can't keep this up for a whole Grand Prix. So Prost, I think now is taking a little breather. He's sitting back a bit. He's close enough to be able to pounce on any sort of mistake from Alboreto. He's not actually mounting an attack.
One of the astounding things about this Monaco Grand Prix to me already is how incredibly reliable the leaders have been. Mike Doodson's lap chart alongside me has not altered since lap 7, with Mansell in the lead, with Senna second, Piquet third. There is Mansell, who has now lapped Capelli, who is in 13th place, second in the 3.5 litre race behind Jonathan Palmer, who is 12th. Piquet still third, Alboreto ahead of Prost still, 4th and 5th, 6th Cheever, 7th Berger, 8th Warwick, 9th Patrese, 10th Farby, 11th Caffey, and there is the Leighton House March with its distinctive blue-green colour livery behind the white, red, yellow and blue of the Williams-Honda, race leader Nigel Mansell. Dustin Hoffman, they call even Ivan Capelli. There he is in the background. He's been lapped. Mansell coming through again. And it's Frank Williams himself who, from his wheelchair, through the radio, will be in touch with Nigel. Frank has a special control strapped to his left thigh, which he can punch to activate the radio and talk as necessary to Nigel Mansell. I don't imagine there will be an enormous amount of conversation going on between them, because Mansell is driving superlatively well. He's still the fastest, 1 minute 28.049, 5 seconds, almost exactly, of his pole time, and some 6 seconds outside the lap record of Michele Alboreto, as the Englishman comes down to the portiere on lap 28. And we should soon be having the excitement and the drama of the pit stops. Lap 78 is the full distance, and they will be coming in before half distance, which in round figures is what, lap 38, 39. So it's not going to be very long before some of the early people come in. And I wonder if the fact that the 3.5-litre cars, notably that of Jonathan Palmer, who is in 12th position, are not going to be making a car stop, will make a very big difference to their positions. I think for a complete stop, allowing for slowing down, changing the tyres and getting away, you need to allow some 30 seconds, although Mansell and all the other turbo cars that change their tyres will have preheated tyres ready to go on. The electric blankets are already round them in their pit areas, getting them up to race temperatures so that they can slap the new tyres on, which, as I said earlier, is done these days in something less than 8 seconds, and race away at full racing speed immediately, or almost immediately. Mansell round the right hand at the Mirabeau, down to Lowe's, the most famous shot probably in Grand Prix photography. And all the time, the astounding Alex Caffey, the little ex-Formula 3 Italian, who only had his first Grand Prix race in Italy last year and is therefore only in his 5th Grand Prix now and is in 11th place, is being caught by Palmer. Caffey in 11th place in the turbocharged Acela, being caught by the leading 3.5-litre car of Englishman Dr. Jonathan Palmer. That's Senna second. And it's going to be very, very important to both Mansell and Senna that their pit crews, when they change tyres, waste the minimum of time. Senna is 10.2 seconds behind Mansell, 14 seconds ahead of Piquet, who is 12 seconds ahead of Alboreto, who is 2 seconds now ahead of Prost, so Prost is dropping back a bit. Cheever is 3 seconds behind Prost, but only 1 second ahead of Berger, who is only 1 second ahead of Derek Warwick. So great scrap going on for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places, with Riccardo Patrese 9th, Barbie 10th, Caffey 11th, Jonathan Palmer 12th, and Capelli is holding on to Mansell extremely well. Capelli in the 3.5-litre march.
I think Mansell may be in a little bit of trouble. I can't see what's wrong, but he seems to have slowed right down, and Senna is catching him, and Mansell is in trouble. So Mansell in some sort of trouble. Senna, you saw, just going through the tunnel then, closing up, about to take the lead.
Lap 30, and Nigel Mansell is about to lose the lead to Senna. Senna goes through, and the Brazilian in the Lotus Honda moves into the lead at the Monaco Grand Prix on lap 30. What has gone wrong with Nigel Mansell? We can expect to see him come out of the swimming pool, into the Rascasse, and then into the pits. So the thing that Ayrton Senna has no doubt been praying for inside his cockpit has happened. Something has gone wrong with Nigel Mansell's Williams Honda. Indeed, he comes into the pits. And Senna has gone through in the lead. There are the Williams mechanics ready to receive him. Is it going to be more than a tyre change? Mansell looks up. and shout something at his race engineer. He's already lost first place. And this is a very slow pit stop. It's more than tyres, no doubt at all about that. Nigel Mansell, having led from the lights turning to green until lap 29, looks as though he may be out of the Monaco Grand Prix. What tragic luck.
Yes, whatever it is, it looks pretty serious. They got the engine cover off. Mansell has really already been there much too long to remain in contention. And he's getting out of the car, so it's all over for Nigel Mansell. A great shame, a very assured drive. He drove well within himself and was controlling the race very nicely from the front, and his car's let him down.
And everybody's heart must go out to Nigel Mansell, who had driven superbly. He had built and maintained a cushion between himself and the race leader, now Ayrton Senna, was controlling the race from the front, and it looks like an engine problem. Senna now leads, and in second position behind the Brazilian is his countryman, Nelson Piquet. Senna gets the lead, the signal, and the active suspension. Lotus, this is very significant, now leads the Grand Prix, as Senna has led Grand Prix this year in the past. Another bit of excitement is that Jonathan Palmer is right up with Caffey, who is now in 10th position, because now on lap 31, it is Ayrton Senna that you look at rounding Mirabeau Corner in the Lotus Honda, and he is leading Nelson Piquet by 16 seconds. Michele Alboreto is up to third, and he is 12 seconds behind Piquet, but he is only 1 second now ahead of Prost, who is fourth. Eddie Cheever is 7 seconds behind Prost in fifth place, and 3 seconds ahead of Derek Warwick, who is sixth now. Berger in the second Ferrari is in 7th place. Riccardo Patrese is 8th. Farby is 9th. Caffey is 10th. Jonathan Palmer, leading the 3.5 litre class, is in 11th place. And Martin Brundle is 14th. There's Palmer. Palmer has now been caught by Ayrton Senna. Senna is about to lap the 11th place man, Jonathan Palmer, who is slowing him up as they come out of the swimming pool area. But Senna, with a 16-second lead, has got a very comfortable gap between himself and Nelson Piquet on lap 32 in this 78-lap race. And he should pull out and blast past the 3.5 litre Tyrrell, and he does so. Ayrton Senna, the incredible Brazilian. Now, that's Caffey in front of him. Get a good look at Alex Caffey, because he deserves everybody's plaudits and congratulations. The little Italian, now in 10th place in the venerable Osella, has driven superbly and is driving superbly. That's Stefan Johansson leaving the pit.
And meanwhile, Prost still pushing with Alboreto, can't find a way around. Senna pulling away. He has some 17.5 seconds on Nelson Piquet. Got a further 12 seconds behind, 12 seconds ahead of Alboreto. So the field is really spreading out.
And as Senna takes Caffey, who has got Jonathan Palmer right behind him, Caffey 10th, Palmer 11th. So Senna, that you are looking at, the race leader, has lapped everybody, therefore up to 9th place, and that's Teo Farley. There he is, a very distinctive colour scheme. Number 12, Ayrton Senna. And meantime, Derek Warwick is in the points in the Arrows Megatron, the gritty Englishman. Derek Warwick is in 6th position now. He's got ahead of Gerhard Berger's Ferrari, unseen by you, as Senna goes up the hill to the Hotel de Paris. And there is Berger, there is Alboreto, I apologise, with Prost mounting another attack. And this again is the point where Prost, if he lines up properly, could get through at Sander Vos.
Yes, Prost's problem, as we saw earlier, and I think he's looking around both sides, but Alboreto's making himself fairly wide, which is entirely his own right. And Prost, we saw earlier, seemed to be a little bit slower than Michele through Saint-Devote. Couldn't be quite close enough through Casino Square, which is really, we'd like to mount the attack down to Mirabeau Corner. He took a bit of a rest for a while, which is what you have to do. It's too physically demanding to keep attacking throughout the race. He's taking his rest, but he's definitely getting very aggressive about it now.
And these two are 11 seconds behind Piquet, and the race order on lap 34 out of 78 is Senna leading, 17 seconds ahead of Piquet. Third is Alboreto, fourth is Prost, and you watch again Prost mounting an attack on the Ferrari as they exit the tunnel. Fifth is Cheever, sixth is Warwick. Both the arrows then are in the points, and I think that's the first time this year, and certainly for a very long time, that has happened. But Alboreto can see Prost behind him. Prost can see Alboreto in front of him, into the swimming pool, left, right, out of the swimming pool, right, left, down to La Rascasse, up towards Saint-Devote, and again, Prost will try to ensure that he exits the right-hander, which leads towards Saint-Devote, tucked up under the wing of Alboreto's car, and into the pits, I think, is going Alboreto. Yes, indeed. Michele Alboreto goes into the pits. Now, let's see how long his pit stop takes. Start the watch. A swarm of Ferrari mechanics behind him, and Prost has gone up into third position, of course. Out goes Alboreto. I made it 8.3 seconds. They made it just over 9. And that's a very good stop. And the reason that Nigel Mansell retired is that he had a broken turbocharger, and that figures because you saw how he slowed but still kept going. And since he couldn't proceed at racing speed with the lack of boost and therefore a gigantic diminution in horsepower, out of the race went Nigel Mansell. Into the lead went Ayrton Senna. Up to second went Piquet. Up to third went Alboreto, who has now gone into the pits and out again. So third is Prost.
Yes, it'll be very interesting to see now that Prost has got a clear run in front of him. Just whether he can make any impression on Nelson Piquet. The gap at the moment is some 14 seconds.
And since Nelson Piquet is in my sight now, I will give you the gap. It was 14 seconds between second place man Nelson Piquet and the new third place man Alain Prost. There he is, the man who's won for the last 3 years. And into the pits goes Prost. Ron Dennis there in the background. And they're telling others to get out of the way, and a superb stop by the McLaren team, just under 8 seconds, which was at minimum a second faster than that of Michele Alboreto. So now, still with Senna leading, the Ferrari and the McLaren have changed to new tyres.
Yes, vital piece of teamwork. The McLaren team did a really wonderful job then on Prost tyres, but he's hoping that he can get out in front of Alboreto, in that he couldn't pass him, but the team hopefully has done the job for him.
And we'll soon see, because here is Ayrton Senna coming through to complete his 36th lap. Place 1 you see on the board. Place 2 should be Nelson Piquet coming through in about 20 seconds time from the time Senna passed us. And then we'll see whether it is Alboreto or whether it is Alain Prost. And we've still got a lot of this Monaco Grand Prix to see. There goes Piquet past me as you watch Senna go down to Mirabeau Corner. Senna leads. Piquet still second. The gap between them some 20 seconds. And through goes Eddie Cheever in third position. Eddie Cheever in the Aeros Megatron is third. Coming towards me now is Alain Prost, and behind him is Michele Alboreto. So, sure enough, the McLaren mechanics have enabled Alain Prost to get ahead and stay ahead of Michele Alboreto. And the lead of Ayrton Senna is some 20 seconds. Fascinating race this is turning out to be with the tyre stops. There's the Brazilian. Cappy has disappeared from our lap charts. 37 laps, 36 laps have been completed. And there is the second place man, Nelson Piquet, who is some 21 seconds ahead of Eddie Cheever, who is third, who is 12 seconds ahead of Alain Prost at fourth. Fifth is Derek Warwick now. And on lap 37, there is Piquet, who is completed 38, because Piquet has now completed 37 laps as he goes into Saint-Devote, waiting for Eddie Cheever, the American who not only drives for Arrows with the new Megatron engine behind him, but also, of course, for the Jaguar team in Group C racing, going on to Le Mans, hopefully to win there for Jaguar, and he's through in third position. Piquet dropping down towards Lowe's. Prost goes through fourth. Warwick is fifth. Berger is. Alboreto is in sixth position. And there's the leader. And I correct myself because Gerhard Berger with Alboreto right behind him. The two Ferraris very close. Berger is sixth. Alboreto is seventh. But there is no doubt about the fact that this, Ayrton Senna, is the race leader. And as you look at the leader, now on his 39th lap, he is some 21 seconds ahead of Nelson Piquet, with Eddie Cheever in third position, with Alain Prost in fourth place. Derek Warwick is fifth, and then the two Ferraris of Berger and Alboreto, sixth and seventh. And the race leader, Senna, has lapped everybody up to the seventh place man, Michele Alboreto. Eighth, though, although he has been lapped, is Theo Fabi, his teammate Boutsen out of the race, of course. Ninth is Jonathan Palmer, the Englishman who is inching his way up towards the points and may well finish in them. Is now up into that position, ninth place, with Capelli behind him. Cappy has been into the pits and has changed part of the electronics in the Osella. And there's the Ferrari of Gerhard Berger. Of course, his teammate Michele Alboreto has already been in. The gap between Senna and Piquet, now 21.5 seconds. The Brabham of Riccardo Patrese has just coasted into the pits in front of me. Place one. Lap 39 is what's shown on the Lotus team board as you look at Nelson Piquet going through the swimming pool area in second position.
What is interesting is the two leaders have not yet made their tyre stops, whether they're going to try and go the distance, and there goes Piquet. So Piquet's in for tyres because it seems on the late side we're at half distance now. Remember, the car being heavier uses stopped by the Williams team. Piquet smokes his way out of the pit, lighting up those rear tyres, get them spinning a bit, get some heat into them. Remember, with the car being heavier in the first half of the race, of course, with a full load of fuel, it's harder on tyres in the first half of the race, and so in effect, the half-time point for tyre wear is somewhere between a third and half distance, and yet Senna has gone past half distance without stopping.
Yes, and the interesting thing is that Nelson Piquet got out of the pits before Cheever in third position rounded the Rascasse corner, so Piquet has retained his second position, including his pit stop, and that may be very significant in the closing stages of the race. And still Ayrton Senna, who is obviously very happy not only about the condition of his tyres, but also about the fact that he's able to consistently lap at a speed fast enough to maintain the cushion of some well over 20 seconds now. In fact, it's some 40 seconds between Ayrton Senna and Nelson Piquet, who is second, with Eddie Cheever 7 seconds behind Piquet in third position. Alain Prost is making at the present moment very little gain on Cheever, and Derek Warwick is still in sixth place, 1 minute 61 seconds behind the man you're looking at, which is Ayrton Senna, the race leader, and he is on his 41st lap out of 78. There's the confirmation. 12 is Senna, 6 is Piquet, 18 is Cheever, 1 is Prost. Derek Warwick has moved ahead of Michele Alboreto. Warwick is now up into 5th place. Marvellous for Jackie Oliver's Arrows Megatron team. In 3rd and 5th places, Matt Ginzani in the blue Ligier, looking as though he's going into the pits, and one of the Brabhams, I think it was De Cesaris, just bobbing in there. And I'm amazed that Senna is staying out as long as he is, but I have no doubt that the Brazilian, who is one of the most thinking drivers in Grand Prix racing these days, knows exactly what he is doing. He will be talking on the radio, telling people exactly what readings he's getting, how his tires are responding, when he's going to come in. And on lap 42 now, as you see him round Lowe's, go down towards the Portier, he's a commanding 45 seconds ahead of Nelson Piquet. The retired Nigel Mansell still has the consolation of knowing that he's put up the fastest lap. Let me quickly explain this to you. Senna is the purple dot, Piquet is the red one, Cheever is the green one, Prost is the yellow one, and that shows you where they are on the lap. Thus, Senna comes up towards the swimming pool area behind Arnoux to lap him again.
Yes, Senna staying out this long makes me suspect that he's possibly going to try and do the whole race on one set of tyres. We had an idea that Cheever wants to do that. Cheever is currently holding down 3rd place. And Senna into the pit. So Senna is making his tyre stop, albeit rather late. He's the last of the front runners to stop. Fantastic stop as well. The Lotus team, Formula One teams really are very, very good at changing tyres now. Anything over 10 seconds is considered to be a bit of a disaster. And Ayrton Senna, a nice comfortable 9 seconds. Got a good comfortable lead and back on his way again.
On his way to his 5th Grand Prix win. If he finishes the distance where he is now, it seems strange to think that he's only won 4 Grand Prix, but this is only his 50th Grand Prix, 16 pole positions, 4 wins, and so on. 112 points, and if he adds 9 to the 6 he already has, it will significantly improve his World Championship chances this year, and it will be the first Lotus active suspension victory. He's had pole positions this year, a pole position, Senna, but meantime Alboreto has got past Derek Warwick up into 5th place. The Ferrari is still running well, and on lap 43 with 35 to go, including the one they are on, it is Ayrton Senna that you look at, leading the Monaco Grand Prix from Nelson Piquet, some 35 or 40 seconds ahead of him now. 3rd position is still Eddie Cheever. 4th position is still Alain Prost. 5th now is Michele Alboreto. 6th and still in the points, Derek Warwick in the Arrows. 7th but not yet lapped is Berger in the 2nd Ferrari. So 2 Arrows, 2 Ferraris in the top 5. And here is Piquet. Senna has completed his 43rd lap and is on his 44th. Nelson Piquet is about to come round the Rascasse as Senna goes into Casino Square. There's the Monte Carlo Casino on his right. Down to the Mirabeau. out of the race has gone Andrea De Cesaris with deranged steering. That's a bit of an embarrassment at Monaco. To join Thierry Boutsen, Philippe Stress, Nigel Mansell. But still the reliability record is holding up extremely well. Senna is now 25 seconds ahead of Piquet, because don't forget that he has had that pit stop which dragged him down a bit. Cheever is 5 seconds behind Piquet. Then Prost in 4th position, Alboreto 5th, Warwick is in 6th place, Berger is 7th, not yet been lapped. Palmer, who is 8th now and leading the 3.5 litre class, has of course been lapped. Capelli is going well. He's had all sorts of problems in the previous Grand Prix in Brazil, San Marino and Belgium, but the likeable Italian Ivan Capelli is in 2nd place in the 3.5 litre race and in 9th position overall. Martin Brundle is still going in 10th place. Johansson is 11th. Barbie is in 12th position, and Senna has now completed 44 laps as he climbs over the crest. That's where Alboreto went off with Dana, round the left-hander at the Hotel de Paris, down towards the Mirabeau turn again, down to Lowe's, 30 miles an hour he rounds there. Doesn't sound much, but he's fully quickened at that acute bend. Down to the 48 into the tunnel.
Senna certainly seems to be dominating the race now from Nelson Piquet. He's having got his fresh set of tyres on, he's started to pull away again. I would think his lead is now some 27 seconds. I'm quite sure that 30 seconds he'll be very happy with to then nurse that cushion. But he certainly seems to be able to move away from Piquet at will.
Pool has been specially filled for the occasion. It was empty yesterday, I can tell you that. So Senna goes round the Rascasse again. He's coming up now to complete his 45th lap, having changed his tyres, having a lead over Piquet of over 27 seconds. And the Brazilian really can do everything possible to conserve fuel, not that it is usually too much of a problem at Monaco, conserve his tyres and take a thoroughly conservative drive to victory, as you look at Eddie Cheever in 3rd position. Now Cheever is some 5 seconds ahead of 4th place man Alain Prost. And out of the race goes Alex Cathy after a fine drive. He's stuck on the hill coming out of Saint-Devant on the way to Casino Square. He's only got a short walk back to the pits. Not that that will be any consolation to him, as out of the tunnel and down to the chicane, you saw Ghinzani following Ayrton Senna there, and Ghinzani is in 16th place. He's been lapped twice already. And there is Arnoux, who has also been lapped twice and is going to be lapped 3 times very shortly. Actually, one has to admire Ligier, because they have had an appalling season in terms of pressure. A puff of smoke there from the Megatron engine of Arnoux's Ligier. They were supposed to start the season with Arrow's engines, and Arnoux, as you watch Eddie Cheever in 3rd place, spoke out a little forcefully about his opinion of the engine, which wasn't a very high one, as a result of which Alfa Romeo withdrew from the arrangement, as a result of which Ligier were left without engines.
And Prost, who's been chasing Eddie Cheever, is now right up on his tail and looking for a way round. So the battle for 3rd place is now joined. There they are. And Prost will be very happy that he's got Nakajima in front of Eddie Cheever, because that may just give him a little moment that he's looking for, but no, Nakajima moves out of the way, lets them through, and possibly very anxious. And there's the picture from Nakajima's car, following the McLaren and the Arrows, under the bridges, then into the tunnel. There's quite a contrast, although there are very, very powerful arc lights in the tunnel. To come out of bright sunlight into that tunnel, it really is quite dark, and vision is not good, but of course one can do it pretty much from memory.
Well, Alain Prost, of course, has got a more powerful engine, I suspect, than the Megatron, but his tag power, compared with the Megatron power of Eddie Cheever, may not be enough quite at the moment. Cheever's coming up to Saint-Devote. This is the place, one of the few places where a faster driver can get by, but Eddie Cheever has got a tremendous amount of experience. He goes up the hill again, and this is the battle for third place between Eddie Cheever and Alain Prost, numbers 18 and 1 that you are looking at, with Ayrton Senna and Nelson Piquet, the two Brazilians, in the lead ahead of them. Behind them in fifth place, Michele Alboreto. Sixth is Warwick. Seventh is Berger. Eighth is Jonathan Palmer, getting closer and closer to the points in his Tyrrell, leading the 3.5 litre class. Nakajima has been building an extremely favourable reputation for himself this season as the first Japanese Grand Prix driver, and he finished in 7th place in Brazil. He finished 6th in San Marino in the points. He finished 5th in Belgium in the points. He's running well now on his first drive at Monaco in 13th place, and we've still got a long way to go. This is lap 48 that Cheever in 3rd place and Prost in 4th are on, and Nakajima could well move up several places before the race ends on lap 78. But all the time, Prost is getting a little closer, and he's just close enough now. He's just close enough now to have another go at Cheever.
Yes, same old problem. Passing at Monte Carlo is really difficult, and Eddie Cheever is well experienced enough to know that his best tactic is to not hurry, just make no mistakes, don't miss any gears. Little puff of smoke there from Cheever's car, but he's been doing that for some laps. But there is no obvious place for him to get round him. He needs Cheever to make a mistake.
And Eddie Cheever, in his 90th Grand Prix, is certainly not making one. Tremendous amount of experience this 29-year-old American has got, because he started off in karts, then Formula 3. He raced in over 50 Formula 2 races before he moved up to Formula 1 in 1978. And the number of teams that Eddie Cheever's driven for is incredible. He's driven for Hesketh, Tyrrell, Osella, Ligier, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Lola, Arrows, and of course he's in the Jaguar sports car team this year. So you can't tell Eddie Cheever anything about experience. And his Arrows seems to be more than capable of holding off Alain Prost, because Prost just can't find the opportunity at the moment, despite the fact that for the last 3 laps he's come out of La Rascasse there, right in the slipstream of Eddie Cheever's Arrows, and if anything, Cheever moves away marginally as they come up to Saint-Devote, and there's no way Prost will get under the tail of Eddie Cheever's Arrows. And of course, all the time, these drivers, with the bumps and the heat, are taking a tremendous personal pounding.
Yes, the physical side of Grand Prix racing is really quite extreme now. The G-forces in the car are very big indeed. The acceleration, the braking and the cornering, and the body is undergoing a huge battering all the time.
Lap 51. Senna leads, Piquet second, Cheever third, Prost fourth. There they are. Alboreto fifth, Berger the last man in the points, sixth. Warwick out of the points now, seventh. Palmer in 8th position, leading the 3.5 litre race, 1 lap behind the leader. Capelli is in 9th place, Johansson is 10th, Martin Brundle is 11th, and Prost is going for it.
And Eddie Cheever appeared to make a little mistake there. A little bit slow out of the Rascasse, but he's held on in front. Prost was looking for a way round. And it looks like his moment has passed. Still you see that little bit of vapor coming off the arrows as he goes over the brow of the hill. He'll be doing it every lap. And Prost now looking down the inside, and Prost finally has managed to find a way past. That is the first overtaking manoeuvre he's made in the whole race. So Alain Prost moves up to 3rd place. He's some about 20 seconds behind Nelson Piquet. So we'll watch that gap and see if he can do anything about working into the lead. And there we go again, out of the Mirabeau, out of the Casino Square rather, down to the Mirabeau, under braking. And Prost finally struggles by.
Lap 51, Senna leads, Piquet second, Prost now third, Cheever down to 4th, Alboreto 5th, Berger 6th, Warwick 7th, Palmer 8th, Capelli is in 9th place, Johansson is 10th, Brundle is 11th, and Farby is in 12th position. And at the present moment, Alain Prost is increasing his World Championship lead, because Stefan Johansson, who is second in the World Championship, is not in the points in this race. Mansell, who is in 3rd place on the championship when the race began, is out of the race. And Eddie Cheever into the pits for his tyres. Let's see how the Arrows team compare.
And that looks a bit like the gamble that hasn't paid off, because I know Cheever was hoping to go the distance, but by changing so late, he certainly hasn't made the best use of the available tyres. There's Ayrton Senna looking very comfortable now, no longer having to push hard, watching only the gap, and the mechanics, or the mechanical areas of his car, trying to protect the car. He will cut down the revs on the engine a little bit. He'll be trying not to bounce it on the curbs, as you see there, not using all the road.
And on lap 52, Michele Alboreto has moved up into 4th place ahead of Eddie Cheever, and the race order is Senna leading Piquet. There is Senna by 24 seconds. The Lotus Honda leads the Williams Honda. 3rd position, Alain Prost. 4th position, Michele Alboreto. Down to 5th following that pit stop goes Eddie Cheever, and in 6th position now it's Gerhard Berger still, with Derek Warwick in 7th place, Palmer 8th, Capelli 9th, Johansson still 10th, with Brundle on the same lap as Johansson in 11th place, and Farby 2 only lapped once in 12th position. Senna's just got to keep it rolling. He is on lap 53. He therefore has 25 laps to go, including the one he's on. I would not expect him to have much trouble in doing that.
And Alain Prost is having a go at catching Nelson Piquet in 2nd place. He's started to catch him. He's brought the gap down under 20 seconds.
If they stay where they are now, and it probably won't happen, Alain Prost will still very much be in the lead in the World Championship, but up into 2nd place will go Ayrton Senna, down to 3rd position will go Johansson, down to 4th position will go Piquet, as you look at Patrese Brabham BMW, and that's Paul Rocher, the BMW engineer-in-chief, leaning over his car, as round the left-hander go the Arrows and the Ferrari there. And there is Stefan Johansson, who is in 10th position in the McLaren. He's been lapped, of course. Down to the chicane. Senna, Piquet, Prost through. That's Riccardo Patrese. Looks as though his race is run. And the problem with Riccardo Patrese is that it's another electronics problem. They've had them before. And that's Cheever, with Berger behind him. So Alboreto has passed the American in the Arrows to go up to 4th place, and now Berger in the Ferrari is having a go at 5th. And at the present moment, Ferrari have only got 7 points in the Constructors' Championship. Both their cars are in the top 6 now, and soon to be in the top 5 if Berger manages to get past Eddie Cheever, which Alboreto has already done. This is lap 54. Martin Brundle is about to be caught and passed by the Ferrari and the Arrows. The Arrows of Cheever, the Ferrari of Gerhard Berger. There goes the Zach speed. Down to the Mirabeau. Martin Brundle is in 10th position. He's about to be lapped by the battle for 5th and 6th between Cheever and Berger. Let's watch it. There's Brundle, 10th. Cheever, 5th. Berger, 6th. Can Cheever scrabble past the Zach speed before they get to the chicane? If he can, it'll enable him to pull away a little bit from Berger, who certainly won't be able to do so, and the answer is no. Berger closes up a little. Cheever goes past Brundle's Zach speed into the Tabac. Down to the first corner of the pool, left, right, right, left, down to La Rascasse, first gear, 30 miles an hour. Brundle is still ahead of Berger. Not anymore, he's not. Berger slides through, puts the power down, and I don't think he's actually lost any time at all.
And that caption rather took the wind out of my sails. I was just going to report that Alan Prost is now eating into Nelson Piquet's lead for 2nd place. Piquet down to only 15 seconds advantage, so Prost is starting a late charge.
As we have seen so many times in the past, and those late charges have often ended in victories. I remind you that Prost won here in 1986, 1985, and that appallingly wet 1984. Graham Hill won 5 times at Monaco. Is Prost going to move one closer to the all-time record of Graham Hill by making it 4? With Nakajima. That's the left-hander before the pool. Now he's going into the pool area. Watch his right hand as he changes gear. Now he's coming down to La Rascasse. Watch his hand as he goes down through the box into first gear, down to 30 miles an hour as he stands on the brakes. Now he exits. You'll see his pit board very shortly. Look for the yellow pit board of Satoru Nakajima. There it is. He's now coming up to Sanderbot, and that's a 70 miles an hour corner. He accelerates up. Watch his hand again. 3rd, 4th, 5th. And down a gear for the 4th gear, left-hander at the Hotel de Paris, 95 miles an hour. Picture break up, never mind. That was fantastic. This is the 2nd place man, Nelson Piquet. Senna has completed another lap. Piquet is 31 seconds behind now. Senna is now on his 57th lap. And Nelson Piquet can do nothing but hope that his fellow Brazilian will strike trouble in the Lotus and let him, Nelson Piquet, number 6, through into the lead. Piquet needing points in the World Championship. He's 4th equal with Senna at the present moment on 6 points. He completes the lap. He's now 31.6 seconds behind Ayrton Senna, with the sun shining on the climb to Casino Square. The diners in the background, you saw them behind the plate glass windows of the Hotel de Paris, having one of the noisiest meals you can possibly imagine. And the gap between Piquet and Prost now is down to 13 seconds. So Prost is giving it his all, and he has got another 21 laps, including the one that he's on, in order to continue to eat into that gap. There's the diagram which shows you. Piquet is the red one, Prost is the green one, and you can see when they start moving it as Piquet comes up towards the back now. It should start to move very shortly. And it doesn't. But we have a broken computer. And we have a broken Riccardo Patresi's Brabham BMW because the Italian is out of the Monaco Grand Prix. Those yellow things in his ears, of course, are ear plugs to keep out the noise. And Riccardo Patresi, who failed to finish in Brazil, San Marino and Belgium, has failed to finish in Monaco. Who has now lapped Martin Brundle again. Martin Brundle following through is in 10th position, and he's now 2 laps adrift. But he has repassed Stefan Johansson. I'm talking about Martin Brundle. Brundle is now 10th, Johansson is 11th, and the race order, as you look at Senna on lap 58 coming into the chicane, is Senna leading Piquet by over 30 seconds. Prost, 15 seconds now behind Piquet. Alboreto, 14 seconds behind Prost, is in 4th place. In 5th place, Eddie Cheever. 6th is Berger. 7th is Warwick. 8th and leading the 3.5 litre class is Palmer. 9th is Capelli, 2nd in the 3.5 litre class. 10th is Brundle. 11th is Johansson. 12th is Farby. And here is the Lotus with that board going out, and the supremely fit, very cool mentally, Ayrton Senna. He's on his way to his 5th Grand Prix victory in the 50th Grand Prix that he has driven in, and to add 9 points to the 6 he already has to move into 2nd position in the World Championship if the first 6 stay as they are. Across the 2 Ferraris of Alboreto and Berger, 4th and 5th, and Eddie Cheever's Arrows 5th, ahead of Warwick's Arrows in 7th position. And I'll say it again, that the Arrows team has really got its tail up these days with the new Ross Brawn designed car, which is a very pretty car. That's Fabre being caught, and the Megatron engine, and excellent preparation and a lot of experience. They are going places.
And Prost's attack for 2nd place seems to have fizzled out. He's no longer catching Piquet. Piquet stabilised the gap. He's some 17 seconds ahead of Prost now. And the leading 3 drivers, I'm sure, right now are driving mainly for a finish.
That's Fabre in the AGS in front. There is Piquet. Fabre in front of Senna, soon to be passed by the Brazilian. As Senna rolls round, if he could see those cool blue waters, I'm sure he'd like to be in them. He must be very, very hot indeed. There's the visual gap, you see. And we'll see what it is as Piquet goes through. He's just passed us, and we're very close to the finish line. And somebody rolling down towards the portier very slowly indeed, and turning off as Senna goes through. And I'm still waiting for Prost to go through. He does it, and the gap is 17 seconds, as near as makes no difference, 16.84 to be exact. So Prost is not discernibly gaining in 3rd place on Piquet, who is 2nd, and certainly Piquet, who's 2nd, is not making up any time on the leader, Ayrton Senna, that you're looking at now. Stefan Johansson, who is in 11th place, has got a misfire, and the race order shows no change for the first 6. Senna, Piquet, Prost, Alboreto, Cheever and Berger on this, the 60th lap for Ayrton Senna that you look at. And what's happening here? Let's have a look. This is a replay as Johansson in the smoking McLaren is passed by Theo Fabi in the Benetton and retires, does he? Yes, he's turning off the course. If you go like that, you run straight into the middle of Monaco. Stefan Johansson is obviously out, hitting the barrier. So I think something must surely have happened to the car, because Stefan does not make mistakes like that. But anyway, Stefan Johansson is out. Both the Brabhams are out, the Cesaris and Patrese. Lutsen is out, Streff's out. Of course, Nigel Mansell is out. And with Ayrton Senna now on his 61st lap out of 78, the race order is Senna, Piquet, Prost, Alboreto, Cheever and Berger. Warwick is 7th, Palmer is still 8th, Capelli is still 9th, Brundle is still in 10th position. Johansson has lost his 11th place, of course, now to Teo Fabi that you saw going through, and that means to say that Nakajima, still plugging away, has moved up into 12th position, and that's Derek Warwick. Derek Warwick out. I don't know why. Oh, poor Derek Warwick. He really does have the most appalling luck. There is his arrows. He failed to finish in any of the 3 previous races that we've had. Now that's Eddie Cheever's car. Well, this is incredible, because in the twinkling of an eye, have they come together? That is the Café de Paris, which, as you can see, is being knocked down. You've seen Warwick walking away. That is Cheever's car. So both the arrows are obviously out. Cheever from his place, 5th position, and Warwick out of 7th place, and that is changing things considerably, because now on the 62nd lap, that means that Palmer has moved up into the points, leading the 3.5 litre class, and the order is Senna, Piquet, Prost, Alboreto is 4th, Berger is 5th, and now Palmer is in 6th position, with Capelli in 7th place, and Martin Brundle has moved up into 8th position. And this is what so very often happens in the Monaco Grand Prix, in the closing stages of a race which is always very grueling indeed, not just for the cars, but for the drivers as well. You get cars falling out, and people that were well down start to move up and to finish in the points. And this is going to be, if Jonathan Palmer finishes where he is now, or higher, which he might well do, the first time that a 3.5 litre car has finished in the points this year in this 2-class, in effect, World Championship Series, and how appropriate that it should be one of Ken Tyrrell Fords that does so. That's Piquet that you've just seen go round. The producer is looking for and finds Alain Prost in 3rd position. The gap between Piquet and Prost is now some 16 seconds. And Ken Tyrrell, incidentally, forecast just before this race began that one of his cars would finish in the points, as he did for that matter. And at the beginning of the season, he said that Monaco and Detroit, which is the next race in 3 weeks' time, would be the strong ones for his very nimble, very light Tyrrells, which started this race some 200 pounds lighter than the turbo cars. 28 is Gerhard Berger, and Berger is in 5th place, about to be lapped by Ayrton Senna, the leader, who is on his 63rd lap. And Cheever, Eddie Cheever, retired with gearbox trouble. Retirements, the major retirements: Boutsen, Streff, Nigel Mansell, De Cesaris, Johansson, Patrese, Cheever and Derek Warwick. Race leader, number 12, Ayrton Senna, Lotus Honda. There he is. And that's Piquet, number 6. Not the best of seasons for Piquet. He may have finished 6th in Brazil, but he failed to finish in San Marino, of course, and he failed to finish in Belgium. But double world champion Nelson Piquet looks for wins rather than just places in the finish. Senna, and you've just been looking at Prost. Now I'll give you the gap between Piquet, who has just passed me as Senna goes into the tunnel, and Prost, who is in 3rd position. And the answer is 12 seconds. Prost is definitely catching Piquet. Absolutely no doubt about that at all. 12 seconds. I'll take it on the next lap and we'll see at what rate he's catching him, as Gerhard Berger in 5th place sees the yellow Lotus Honda of Nelson Piquet closing on him. Piquet is so much, Senna is so much in command of this race but he can afford to take things very easily indeed. 35 seconds now ahead of Nelson Piquet as he comes through to complete his 64th lap. 13 to go now for Senna. The Lotus Honda sounding very, very crisp and hearty indeed. And can I remind you that if Ayrton Senna wins this race, it will be a magnificent achievement, not only for him and for Honda, but also for the Lotus team led by Peter Wright, who produced this revolutionary active suspension.
There we saw the visual gap from Piquet to Prost. Prost is chasing. He's closing slowly, but Piquet will be well aware of that. He'll know exactly what the situation is, what the gap is. He'll just be trying to pace himself. It's got down really to a war of attrition now, this race. Senna, whose only problem really now is just to keep everything in one piece, keep his own concentration going, look after the car. But Piquet is starting to have to respond to Prost's challenge. Prost has now got down to 12 seconds behind him, and a bit of a slide there from Senna. That looks like a little bit of a mistake. He held it together, and that I think really demonstrates just how tiring this race is physically. That of course will have the effect of waking him up if he's tiring. It's just a good shot of adrenaline when he makes a little mistake like that.
Yes, I've got the stopwatch going to see what the gap is, because it was 37 seconds. I don't think that slide would have cost him anything more than a fraction of a second, but we'll just check. Meantime, Capelli has suddenly lost some 30 seconds on Palmer. Capelli in 7th place, Palmer in 6th position. And there's Alain Prost rounding the swimming pool as... And the gap now is exactly 37 seconds to the nearest pole second between Piquet in 2nd place and Prost in 3rd, so there is no loss of time there. Piquet is now, like Senna, the leader, who's going into the hairpin, is now on his 66th lap. And I find it significant and interesting that Senna, there, 37 seconds, you see the gap between himself and Piquet, is making no real effort, or is it that he's able to make no real effort? Whichever, there is no effort being made for him to catch and pass Gerhard Berger, who is in 5th position. And the race order then on lap 66, as Senna completes it, is Senna leading, Lotus Honda, 38 seconds ahead of Piquet, Williams Honda. In 3rd position, still Alain Prost. 4th position in the Ferrari, still Alboreto. 5th is still Berger in the Ferrari. 6th is Jonathan Palmer in the points overall, and certainly leading the 3.5 litre class. 7th is Capelli. 8th is Brundle. 9th is Farby. 10th is Nakajima, who's moved up several places. He was 17th not so long ago. 11th is Arnoux in the Ligier. 12th is Ginzani. And effectively, there's 12 people left running in the race now, which isn't at all bad at this stage of the Monaco Grand Prix, because there are only 11 laps to go, including this one. It was not all that long ago when, at circuits like this, some of the drivers got so tired that there's Berger, you see, going through 5th, there's Senna, so they actually had to have a strap from the helmet to the car to keep their heads up right on corners.
Yes, that's right. These cars pulling anything up to 3 Gs. And cornering, accelerating and braking. The strain on the neck muscles with the added weight of the helmet, of course, nothing to support it, is really horrendous. Senna is lapping surprisingly quickly at this late stage in the race. He doesn't seem to be feeling his way back towards the opposition. And the Piquet has responded to Prost's challenge. He's now holding the gap steady. He's not letting Prost get any closer. It's still some 12.5 seconds.
There he is, double world champion, 1981, 1983. There's Prost. Now Senna Now Senna is really going to have his time cut out. He's got a whole gaggle of cars in front of him. The Ferrari of Berger is 5th. There is the Leighton House March of Capelli, who is in 7th place. Now let's watch them all come out of the tunnel. It's going to be interesting to see how Senna deals with this. But he's passed the march. Capelli's let him through. There's Capelli. Now the two Ligiers of Inzani and Arnoux, who are 11th and 12th. And of course, this is slowing Senna up. It's giving Piquet somewhat of a chance to catch him, but it's a false reading in a way, because when Senna's got past them, as surely he will, Piquet will then be faced with the problem, and the status quo will be returned to what it was before.
Cars pulling anything up to 3 Gs. And cornering, accelerating and braking. The strain on the neck muscles, with the added weight of the helmet, of course, nothing to support it, is really horrendous. Senna is lapping surprisingly quickly at this late stage in the race. He doesn't seem to be feeling his way back towards the opposition. And Piquet has responded to Prost's challenge. He's now holding the gap steady. He's not letting Prost get any closer. It's still some 12.5 seconds.
There he is, double world champion, 1981, 1983. There's Prost. Now Senna Now Senna is really going to have his time cut out. He's got a whole gaggle of cars in front of him. The Ferrari of Berger is 5th. There is the Leighton House March of Capelli, who is in 7th place. Now let's watch them all come out of the tunnel. It's going to be interesting to see how Senna deals with this. But he's passed the march. Capelli's let him through. There's Capelli. Now the two Ligiers of Inzani and Arnoux, who are 11th and 12th. And of course, this is slowing Senna up. It's giving Piquet somewhat of a chance to catch him, but it's a false reading in a way, because when Senna's got past them, as surely he will, Piquet will then be faced with the problem, and the status quo will be returned to what it was before. The status quo, in other words. So there is Senna. He still hasn't caught Berger. He's up with Inzani now in the distinctive Ligier. Then he's got to get Arnoux. There's Senna. Berger, of course, threading his way through. There's the Ferrari 5th. Senna 1st. Senna is on his 69th lap now. Round the Mirabeau. Down to one of the slowest corners on the circuit. That's the slowest with Raskas, 30 miles an hour. Now Berger is going to go for Arnoux, who is in 11th place. I think Senna is actually just keeping a watching brief. There's no need for him to hurry, and he knows it, and he's not going to be pressured. Oops, and what a lovely bit of driving there. Ayrton Senna took the opportunity to nip through and take Berger's Ferrari, and Berger's in trouble, obviously. He's slowed right down, and if that is so, there will be another change, because Jonathan Palmer will move up into 5th place, but we'll have to see as they come through and complete the lap. All the time, Jonathan Palmer's pure reliability, and he's just gone past me, is moving him up as other cars fall out. Senna is not one of them. He's about to complete his 69th lap behind René Arnoux with the white helmet in his 10th, and is past him. So the progression of Ayrton Senna continues. There's Piquet 2nd, and it's very helpful that we're getting this shot all the time. That's Martin Brundle, actually, who is now up into 7th position with the disappearance of Berger. That is Alain Prost in 3rd place, coming up to complete his 69th lap shortly. And Senna's got a clear circuit in front of him. Now, Piquet, 32 seconds behind the yellow Lotus Honda. Into the tunnel again. Is it my imagination, or has there been a noticeable improvement in driver standards at this Monaco Grand Prix?
Well, certainly it has been remarkable how well mannered all the drivers have been. People being lapped have looked in their mirrors and got out of the way. And maybe it has, after the sad incident at Spa 2 weeks ago, maybe it's just focused the drivers' minds on good manners and good behaviour, because they certainly, it really is quite remarkable how there's been really no cases of carving anybody up here at all.
Yes, it's worth emphasising that the incident in Belgium was not the only one. The organisers have been cracking down on manners, because Fabre was disciplined in Belgium for not looking in his mirrors. Dana was disciplined for allegedly causing Alboreto to go off. I say allegedly, although there's no doubt about the fact he did cause Alboreto to go off, but some people here are saying that Alboreto should never have been trying to pass where he did try to pass anyway.
It was certainly a strange thing. Dana apparently was weaving from side to side, warming his tyres up, which seems a strange thing to be doing in practice. Alboreto, of course, was committed onto a quick lap. And Senna really seems to be enjoying himself. He's hasn't really slowed down at all. He's still been lapping very quickly indeed. And he's still over half a minute in front of Nelson Piquet. He could, in fairness, allow that lead to diminish a bit. He's got time in hand to play with, but seems to be having too much fun out there.
I spoke too soon about Berger disappearing. He slowed right down as he came out of the chicane. He is, in fact, still running, and he's still in 5th position as Senna comes through to complete his 71st lap, and that means to say that Palmer is still in 6th place, but importantly, especially for Ken Tyrrell, he's still in 6th place, because if he gets a point in this race, it means to say that all Ken Tyrrell's transportation costs to the 1988 Grand Prix will be paid for out of the FOCA fund. One of the rules is that if you don't score any points, you don't get any free transport, and so Jonathan Palmer's point is going to be very important indeed for financial reasons as well as prestige reasons for the Tyrrell team. Senna rounds lows. Lap 72 he is on, and the gap between himself and Piquet is still virtually the same, 33 seconds. And it's 17 seconds still between Piquet and Prost. Alboreto is still 4th, Berger is still 5th, Palmer is still 6th, Capelli is 7th, Martin Brundle is 8th, and Capelli and Brundle are now 2 laps behind the leader. Fabi is 9th, Nakajima is 10th, Arnoux is 11th, Ginzani is 12th, and those are the 12 men who are still in the running. And Palmer has just been given a pit signal. I can see the reverse of it. Well, it's got cool on it. And I guess that simply means stay where you are, sunshine, because you are doing extremely well. Jonathan Palmer has been absolutely reveling in the responsive power of the non-turbo Ford V8 engine that he's got behind him, having been used to the Zack-Speed Turbo for the last couple of years, and he was throwing the car around Monaco in practice and visibly enjoying it and getting out of the cockpit positively bubbling with enthusiasm. If he finishes in 6th place and gets a World Championship point, he will be even more enthusiastic. And now Senna has gone quickly there, but still the fastest lap was Nigel Mansell, but now Senna is quickest, so he is celebrating his position by going even faster.
Yes, he can only be doing this for fun, but there's no reason to be going faster and faster. But certainly if he's enjoying himself, then but tactically it seems unnecessary and possibly a mistake. He really should be cutting back on the wear and tear on the car, and to do that should really be taking it easy. It's a marvellous drive by Ayrton Senna. Once Mansell had broken down, Senna took over the domination of the race, and was really haven't really been matched at all. Nelson Piquet held second place for most of the race, but really couldn't do anything to catch Senna.
And there is Piquet exiting the pool. Where is Prost? There he is, about the same distance visually. Piquet is about to lap Nakajima. The Japanese driver is in 10th position, so from 4 Grand Prix starts, he is going to have had 4 Grand Prix finishes, 2 of them in the points, and for a first year of Grand Prix racing, that's a very considerable achievement. Senna. Well, this is going to be, I have to make the usual qualification provided he finishes, although it would seem that nothing is going to stop him now. His 5th Grand Prix victory, and how appropriate, because this is his 50th Grand Prix. Most of them in the Lotus team, some of them in the Tolman team of 1984, from which he departed, it should be recalled, with some acrimony, but it proved to be a good move from his point of view, and he hasn't got very far to go to work, because he lives here in Monaco, Sao Paulo in Brazil, Monaco in Europe. He used to live in Isha, but he's moved here for the fairly obvious tax reason, I would imagine, and he's been racing somewhere or other in some type of racing for a very considerable part of his 27 years. He's actually the 3rd youngest driver, the 2nd youngest driver. Only Alex Caffey is any younger than he is. Senna at 27 and Caffey at 23. There is Senna. He's going to have 121 points at the end of this race. The man who started in karts and was tremendously successful in those, 2nd in the World Championship twice. To his great regret, he never won the World Championship in karts. And then he went on to Formula Ford in Britain in 1981 and won 2 championships. In 1982, he was Formula Ford 2000 champion of Britain and Europe. Then he moved up to Formula 3 in 1983 with Dick Bennett's West Surrey racing team and became British champion. In 1984, he moved into Formula 1 Grand Prix racing with Tolman and finished 2nd here. A sensational finish in Monaco. He joined Lotus in 1985, and now he is almost home for his 5th victory. He is on lap 75, 4 laps to go, including the one he is on. Piquet maintaining his 2nd place, but dropping back all the time. Piquet is now over 40 seconds behind Senna, the race leader, and it is very clear that certainly the first 3, there's Prost, are driving for a finish. They have given up any hope of catching the man ahead of them. Alboreto similarly is driving for that 4th place, Berger for 5th, and that means that both the Ferraris will have finished in the points, and it's a very long time since both team members have done that. Jonathan Palmer maintaining his superb 6th place, leading the 3.5 litre championship ahead of Capelli 7th, Brundle 8th, Barbie 9th, Nakajima 10th, Arnoux and Ginzani 11th and 12th in the 2 Ligiers. You look at Senna. Watch a master at work. The enormous crowd on the exit from the tunnel, the entry to the swimming pool. This reclaimed land, because historically the old Monaco course went round the track at a much higher level and came down to what was the gasworks hairpin and is now La Rascasse, which is where Senna is now, past the high-rise buildings on his left, the harbour on his right, and as ever, when you come to Monaco, you find that there are a whole lot of new buildings that weren't here last year. And we're expecting Senna's race time to be about 1 hour and 58 minutes, and that'll only be just inside the 2-hour limit, because one of the rules of Grand Prix racing says that 2 hours before the scheduled distance has been reached, the flag is held out, the maximum time length a Grand Prix can be is 2 hours. So it's going to be a very close run thing. There is Prost. And now let's follow the bouncing balls. The Senna, Piquet and Prost, purple, red and green. Senna in the tunnel. And he is on his 77th lap. That's Prost. He's going jolly slowly. Is Prost in? Is Prost in? Yes, indeed he is. Prost in trouble.
Yes, looks all over for Prost. Smoke coming from the bottom of the car at the back. So, almost within sight of the finish line. Alan Prost looks to be out of the race. He's parking the car. So that moves Michele Alboreto up to 3rd place, Berger into 4th, and Jonathan Palmer up into 5th place.
I thought something like this would happen. It always does in the closing stages, and this, of course, is going to have a very dramatic effect on the World Championship situation, because Prost is not going to get those 4 points. It means that he will be finishing on 18, only 3 points ahead of the man you're looking at, Ayrton Senna, who, if he finishes first, will be on 15, with Stefan Johansson 3rd on 13, Piquet 4th on 12, Mansell 5th on 10, and Alboreto, who in the Ferrari is still in 3rd place, will be 6th with 8 points. It's getting closer all the time, and it's getting closer to the finish for Ayrton Senna there. I recap that Alain Prost is out of the Monaco Grand Prix, having seemingly blown his tag engine or a turbo, and it means to say that Jonathan Palmer then moves up to 5th position to get 2 World Championship points. Martin Brundle moves up to 7th place in the Zach Speed, and that's a better finish than Brundle could have expected. He finished 5th in San Marino. Here is Senna. So now on lap 78, Senna leading. Piquet is in 2nd place, Alboreto is 3rd, Berger is 4th, Palmer is 5th, and up into the points, a very worthy Ivan Capelli in the march will be scoring his World Championship point and his team's first World Championship point. It won't be Capelli's first point because he finished in Australia the year before last. And look at that! The Lotus team cheering, and Senna takes the checkered flag, and Jonathan Palmer very sensibly stops behind him, which means to say that he has not got to do the extra lap. And the Monaco Grand Prix has been won by Ayrton Senna in the Lotus Honda, the first active ride victory in a Grand Prix for this pioneering Lotus suspension system, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Magnificent drive by the Brazilian. He took the lead, Ayrton Senna, on the 30th lap when Nigel Mansell retired. He held it very convincingly every inch of the way thereafter, and he, of course, dramatically improves his World Championship points. Well, so confirmation then, again.